Today we're going to be making the very easy, very simple recipe of how to make some basic sauerkraut. So you're going to need some cabbage, a good knife. You should never skimp on your knives. If you're going to spend money on one thing in your kitchen, get good knives. A very clean jar, and then you can get some fermentation tops and kits a lot of different places now. The ones that I have are from Amazon. They're very inexpensive, so it's going to come with a weight that goes inside the jar, and then the top and the seal for the top are basically the three parts that has. And then the only other ingredient that we need is salt and possibly a little bit of water. So what you're going to do is you're going to chop your cabbage really finely. You can pretty much do almost the whole cabbage. You don't need to do the stem part, but the rest of it you're going to be good to go on. And I like mine chopped pretty finely, so I'm going to do it just like this. And this is how simple this is. So I already know that this is sterilized because it just came out of the dishwasher and went through a full cycle. So here's how I do it. I add a bunch of the cabbage to the jar, and then I don't really measure a lot because I've done this a ton, so I kind of just know that the fermentation is actually going to tell me if it needs more water. And then what I'm going to do is take this plunger. I'm going to pack this down really tightly. And as that salt mixes with the cabbage, it starts to take the water out of the cabbage, and you'll start to see as you go through this process and layer into your jar, that water comes out of the cabbage really quickly, and you'll start to see water filling up. So then I'll do another layer of the cabbage and add some more salt, plunge it again. And you don't just have to use cabbage. If you have carrots, you can use those. Other root vegetables are fine. If you want to add some spices or some peppercorns or things like that, that's fine. I might throw in a few of the spring onions that we have coming up in the garden just to give a little bit of extra flavor, but you don't have to do anything at all. And then you're just going to continue that process. And as you do that process, as I said, the cabbage after a couple of hours will have released a lot of water, and you'll see that water will fill up most of the jar. Now you'll know that you need to add water if it's been sitting there for a few hours and there's any cabbage on the top that's still exposed that does not have water covering it. You're then going to want to very quickly mix up some salt water, and all I do is take my hot water from my water kettle and throw in a couple tablespoons of salt and a couple maybe a cup of water, and mix that up. It mixes up really quickly when the water's warm. And then I add that to the fermentation jar so that all of the plant material is completely covered. Then you're going to add your weight, and then all you have to do is fit your lock like this and make sure that's in there. And then you're going to let that sit for probably about a week. You'll know that it's fermenting because you'll see bubbles and things coming up. I usually just put this off to the side in my kitchen, like close to my pantry or something, where I'm walking by it a lot, but it's not taking up space on my counter. And check it after about a week, and it'll smell really awesome. How I love to use this, I love to put sauerkraut on eggs, like fried eggs or whatever that you're having for breakfast. Or adding it to salads is a really great thing to do, or whatever. If you're a meat eater, if you're having meat for your meal, adding a little bit of this as a garnish is another great way to use it. And why would we want to use this? Well, this is a fermented food, meaning that it is going to increase the diversity of your gut microbiome. And what scientists are finding right now at all the research that's being done on gut health is that the more diverse our microbiota are in our gut tract, in our GI tract, the healthier we are. So what's happened in American culture particularly is that we've eaten a lot of processed foods, we're eating a lot of trans fats, we're eating a lot of things that have caused the die-off of a lot of the diversity in our GI tract. On top of that, we're feeding the wrong bacteria. So through high levels of stress, through the dietary choices that we've been making, eating too much sugar, drinking too much alcohol, we fed the wrong gut bacteria. So a lot of us have a GI tract that's kind of in upheaval. how you might know that you have that, any of the typical gut complaints, but also things like skin issues, eczema, psoriasis, autoimmune issues, brain fog, brain issues. If you've ever had a brain injury, you probably have what's known as leaky gut as well. So when we can add traditionally fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and so on and so forth back into our diet, what we are doing is increasing the diversity of our GI tract, and we're allowing the bacteria that are actually good partners for us in our health to begin to repopulate. And when they repopulate, a lot of those symptoms of our gut disruption and disturbance will tend to start to go down over time. This is not something that's a quick fix or an easy thing. Gut healing is a long-term project. But you'll also notice that you might feel happier because gut microbes actually produce 90% of the serotonin, the feel-good hormone that our body produces. If we have dysfunction in our gut, if we have leaky gut, if we have gut challenges, if we have an imbalance of bacteria in our gut, we are not getting the right amount of serotonin produced. So we might be struggling with things like feeling down, not feeling motivated, maybe lacking energy and things like that, all the way up to being seriously depressed. So this is something that where we can very easily take back some of our power when it comes to our health and wellness. It's something that's so accessible. Everybody has this stuff around, right? Everybody has knives to chop. Everybody can afford a cabbage and some salt and a few lids to put on your fermentation jar. And this is something that you can just easily add into your routine as a garnish that is going to give you a lot of results in terms of feeling better, feeling happier, and really feeding the right kind of microbes in our gut so that they can take over and the wrong ones can go away. We don't want those guys around anymore.